On this episode, we talk about deals in the marketplace with Roundup Ready2 XtendFlex soybeans and what it means when we talk about substitution season. Watch out for corn diseases. Ben informs us on what diseases are widespread in Iowa. China is going to cut tariffs for the United States, but look out for the coronavirus causing a catastrophic event in China. Hear how that can affect the signed trade deal. Corteva has decided to stop manufacturing Lorsban. Don't forget to tune in for next week's episode. Henry Merschman, President and CEO of Merschman Fertilizer, joins us to talk about fertilizer supply for this spring.
Hi, this is Joe Merschman. Welcome to Cup of Joe, episode number 28, season 2. Today we have Tommy and Turk and Ben, and today we're going to start with Tommy. Tommy, you've been in the field, arm wrestling or hand-to-hand combat, whatever you want to call it.
Arm wrestling, boxing, all the good stuff.
Everything when it comes to sales this year. It's tough. Farmers are tough.
Yeah, we've kind of all across the area between Missouri, Illinois, and Wisconsin, and up over in Nebraska, Minnesota, we've heard a lot of deals going on, and I think we kind of want to talk a little bit about those, especially with the extend market of what it's doing and this new trait called XtendFlex that's coming on in the market.
Yeah, XtendFlex is waiting for one final approval, and that's the European Union, correct?
So it's not technically fully approved yet for commercial use?
That's correct. In other words, as I understand it, we need one last approval of the European Union, which is expected, from what I've read, the second quarter of this year. So it's going to be right down to planning time.
That's really interesting, Joe, because especially with some of these companies, when they released Extend, it was kind of used in a commercial use kind of before its final registration, correct?
Well, again, it's legal in the United States.
Okay.
It's just that you would have to channel that grain away from the European Union. So technically you could plant it this spring, but you would have to channel it away from the European Union if we did not have that registration by harvest.
Excuse me, sure.
Our approval.
So what I was, we kind of ran across, there's a farm in southwest Missouri that had XtendFlex soybeans that the farmer had purchased for a price of $28, and they had free chemical behind it, and there was a lot of hoops and ladders coming to find out more and more about that. And I guess my concern is one of these things of when we're going out and about and hearing all these deals is what the hoops and ladders are. What is in writing of what you're purchasing, and I think you'll get to it in your segment of substitution. But the main thing is with these customers that are getting involved in these different markets, and maybe it's something new and it's exciting, and they're seeing different post application versus.
Yeah, and XtendFlex is Roundup, dicamba, and Liberty.
Yeah, correct.
So Liberty and but Liberty could not be combined with the dicamba because Liberty is low pH, which will create more volatility if you mix the two together. So in essence, is this program going to be a pre with dicamba and a post with Liberty? I mean, what are they really bringing to the market that's different?
Yeah, that's kind of what we've been doing since 2008 with those Liberty beans that we used to sell.
So the other question I have is how good are their genetics? It's no doubt about it that that particular company's been really pushing the yield drag associated with Liberty, so how are they going to manage that? So, I mean, there's just a lot of things that are going on right now that don't look quite normal.
And I think that's the main takeaway for me is get the facts, find out everything that's really going on, find out what, if you're getting free chemical, find out what that chemical is before you sign that dotted line. And like I said, you'll allude to it more on the substitution part. There's another conversation that we had last, Thursday night at a appreciation dinner, and we had a farmer in that area that was hauling grain, and his bin had bridged up from the center about 15 foot, I think he said. And his son was there, and actually he got pinned, but his son got him out, and everything worked out well. But that's a big concern a lot of people are talking about is the corn bridging up in these bins. So
is it because it's frozen or because of some type of fungal activity?
It could be both. I mean, there's a lot of corn that got put in
at high moisture,
and if they got it too cold, it could freeze, and that center can bridge up and cause a lot of problems. But the main thing, like you said, Tommy, is you got to be very, very careful. Don't ever get in a bin without somebody being there, and always use safety equipment ropes so that somebody can tie somebody off so that they don't get sucked down. Don't ever get in a bin if it's being unloaded.
I saw an article on the internet about a guy that made an invention using compressed air to literally explode the grain up the auger, in the center auger to unbridge things and I mean, he was making the design available. In other words, you couldn't use like a regular shop air compressor. You have to use one of those great big sandblaster blaster type, big pneumatic type compressors. But something that if you got a problem like that, you might jump on the internet and look at that guy's invention. It looks like it's pretty simple.
Yeah, and it's probably cheaper than cutting the bin open and doing it that way. So just express the safety side of thing. Everybody in agriculture knows somebody that's been affected by something like this. So keep your head on a swivel, so to speak. So,
well, Tommy alluded to what I want to talk about today, and that's it's just about time for this substitution season to start. What's the substitution season? Well, if you got to understand how the BS companies, the big seed companies work, is that they take their number one products and they just tell their salespeople sell all that they can. And then when they get a little closer to spring, what we'll do is we'll say, hey, you got some bad news. We can't give you all of what you ordered, even though you might have put money down on it and ordered it maybe even as before harvest. We're going to substitute this other product, but it's just as good or maybe even better. And I'm just going to look you straight in the eye and tell you, if you get substituted on, you should think twice before taking that substitution. And the reason why is because you're probably taking a secondary product, no matter what they say. And why not come to us and get a primary product, a first line product? We don't do that. We have a barcode inventory management system, and the supply side, the production side works very closely with marketing and sales. And we talk to each other every day. And the last thing we want to do to any one of our customers that orders early, puts money down, makes a deal, is go and tell them that we can't deliver that product. So it is the oldest trick that the BS companies, the big C companies have been doing for years and years, is sell and substitute. I mean, I remember when I got into the corn business we got in 1992, and I met an older guy, and I said, well, boy, this corn thing's, you got your grade sizes, and you got your different weights and all this stuff. And he says, this is very complex. And he goes, Joe, don't worry about it. So all you need to know is sell and substitute. And I never forgot that. And I go, how can that be a good thing? So anyhow, just give you a heads up. If you get substituted on, you have another option, and that would be Merschman seeds.
Absolutely.
And what's going on with these XtendFlex soybeans already showing up in the marketplace in Southwest Missouri? We've kind of seen the same pattern with the Xtend soybeans when they first came out. It just goes to show this industry is going to get extremely competitive. In other words, it's going to ratchet down again next year, I think.
I'd be nervous if I had XtendFlex beans sitting in my shed that do not even have registration yet.
It's something to be concerned about, no question about it. Well, let's move on to Ben. Ben, on the agronomy side, I know you've been doing a lot of work in that area this last week, keeping up on what's going on out there.
Right, reading a lot of articles and stuff. So it's kind of prepay season. We're kind of on the tail end of the prepay season. I think this is Ag Professional had an article that was talking about the 6 big diseases we need to look out for in 2020. We had a lot of moisture across the state of Iowa and the entire growing belt for that matter. So there's going to be a lot of inoculum built up in the fields. So he's going to hit the big 3 here that basically focus around Iowa. Tar spot. They had a map on the tar spot, a map of Iowa where tar spot is present. Any county, basically 7/8 of the state, 75 out of the 99 counties have had confirmed tar spot. There's still some more to learn about tar spot. They do think they can control it with fungicide, but that disease is actually, they're seeing it affect as early as like V6. So if you don't get it controlled when it becomes present, that can be an issue. So
tar spot's a problem for corn, correct?
Tar spot is a problem in corn, you are correct. So we need to watch out for that one. It's in the top 7/8 of the state. We don't have it down here yet in Lee County, but it's just a matter of time before that disease continues to move south, I think.
Probably haven't found it. We probably have it, but just haven't identified it.
You're probably correct. So gray leaf spot is the other one that he was talking about. We all know what gray leaf spot is. We've been around it a lot. plenty of inoculum built up. We saw gray leaf spot come in really late last year. So you're going to have inoculum in the soil, but it didn't really affect the yield that we had just because of the late growing season that we had. So keep an eye out for that one. And the northern corn leaf blight, that's another huge disease. We haven't seen strong presence of it in southeast Iowa this year. Probably the biggest epidemic was around Des Moines 2, maybe 3 years ago. So it would just, anything that doesn't have a decent level of leaf resistance to northern corn leaf blight, I mean, it can turn a 200 bushel cornfield into a 100 bushel cornfield overnight, it seems like. So it could rapidly defoliate things. So on all three of those right there, this is actually an interview that's done with Syngenta. I think he's a field agronomist for a couple states, Iowa and Nebraska maybe. Anyway, the field agronomist was talking about the product Moravis Neo, and I've mentioned that product on here multiple times, but they're showing definite activity and really good things for these corn diseases. And then we talk about frog eye and soybeans is going to be a big deal. We caught that super late again this year. I don't think it affected yield at all, but it definitely defoliated soybeans fairly quickly. Septoria leaf blight, we see that every season. I think that's why a lot more soybean acres are getting sprayed, because we have been catching rains later and later, which have been giving us the high yielding beans that we've been seeing. But between those two diseases, the unique part about those two diseases is they both found strobilurin resistance. So the fungus that causes, they're two different funguses, but we're both seeing resistance to the strobilurin actives. So that's where a product like Moravis or a double stack or another triple stack that's out on the market are going to be very, very important. If you want to continue to see high yielding beans, clean beans late in season, you're going to want to be looking for the products that have triple stack style protection. So,
which are preventive and curative type products?
Correct.
Multiple modes of action. So,
yep.
Has anybody seen those new Moravis Neo ads that they've been putting on? They're pretty cute, where the soybean is run across the road to the neighbor's field who does spray with Moravis Neo. He's an infected soybean. He's run across the road to get in the field that's been sprayed. So
I have not seen that
and,
one.
And then there's also a corn plant a little bit later on that runs across the road to. He's got bad gray leaf spot, and he's run across the road to try and get in the other field. So yeah, they're pretty cute ads. Very effective. So
I'll have to watch for that this summer. Why'd the corn plant and soybean plant cross the road, huh?
yeah, there you go. There you go.
Be careful, somebody will start blaming dicamba drift on that.
Yeah.
You never know.
So that's what I had, just kind of as the prepay season wraps up, make sure that you got the most high quality, most effective fungicides, because we are going to see issues like we see every other year. So,
Turk, you always have good information on what's going on in the world of markets and also trade.
As far as the market's concerned, they've been kind of a standstill place where right now we're in that time of year where we're determining the spring price election. It's determined in the month of February, so watch what the markets are doing for the whole month of February, because on March 1st, those prices will be determined for your federal crop insurance, and that's going to be your guarantees for the year for the spring price election, and then they do it again in the fall. But the spring price election is very important. It helps farmers make decisions on which crop mix they're going. So that's going on right now. I did want to talk a little bit about China made an announcement that they're going to cut tariffs by $75 million on U.S. goods, so that's a good thing. They're kind of following through with what they're saying on
phase one.
On phase one. So in spite of the coronavirus that's going on down there, which may have a negative effect on their purchases long term, and there isn't a provision in the phase one agreement that they have some type of a catastrophic event that they can kind of fudge on those numbers a little bit, and that's understandable because
there's also some reports coming out that this coronavirus is much worse in China than what the government is actually letting the press know.
I heard that there's like 28,000 confirmed cases, but a report I heard this morning it could be closer to 100,000. So
and it could be very much like the hog virus too. I mean, they try to keep that under wraps.
And I don't know if you heard this one. Now there's also confirmed cases of the bird flu over there, and the chickens. I mean, they're losing whole flocks of chickens as well. So that's all going to be having an effect on possibly trade coming up. So that's going on over there at the same time.
It's not good for their country.
No, it's bad
Not good for any
their
country.
So the other thing that Ben's been talking about, the fungicides in the market, I've got a little bit of an announcement or talk about insecticides a little bit. Corteva, which makes Lorsban, announced this week that they're going to stop production of Lorsban by the end of the year. And of course, the history on Lorsban, it's been around for 65 years, considered to be one of the safest insecticides on the market, period. I mean, it wasn't even a restricted use insecticide until recently. And but it's used on golf courses or pest control, termite control. Farmers used it as one of the safest products for rootworms for years and years and years. And so sprayed over crops for other insects in your corn and soybeans. So very, very widely used product. They have announced that they're going to stop manufacturing that because of a link to reduced birth weights, reduced IQ, and attention deficit or attention disorders in children. So that's a voluntary thing. Obama several years ago Obama administration banned the product, and then Purdue reinstated it when he came into office. But now Corteva is voluntarily taking it off the market. So it's kind of a big deal, and but it's just kind of is a statement on what's going on in agriculture right now when it comes to chemicals and pesticides of any kind, that if there's going to be liability and lawsuits associated with this, then they're just not going to do it to start with. And that's going to be a problem long term for agriculture.
Yeah, we're headed towards biologicals is the only way that we're going to have any type of product that can work out in the field, and that's still an unproven science at this point.
But kudos for Corteva to recognize that and control the problem, take care of it. So.
Well, their sales have went from 55 million pounds a year down to 3 to 5. So yeah, I mean, sales have dropped off dramatically as well. So.
Interesting.
Well, just a lot of things to keep your eye on right now in agriculture, and we're not, the groundhog didn't see his shadow, so we're expecting an early spring and
dead skunks out there too.
Yeah, in the past we've told you that when you see your first dead skunk in the middle of the road, you'll be planting corn within 6 to 8 weeks. So we're hearing about that too in some of our areas. So I think good news is that we could have an early spring, and we'll just have to be ready and get your seed shipped, get it delivered, get it where you can see it, find out if you're getting substituted on. If you are, give us a call. As always,
need a corny joke.
Oh, I forgot the corny joke, yes. What do you call an alligator that's in a vest? An investigator. Investigator. All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching, and as always, we appreciate your business, and feel free to give us a contact or a call if you have anything you'd like to feature on Cup of Joe. But be careful out there, and we'll see you next week.